What's up, Creative Faces? Up on set from Creative Sound. I was working on a project, right? And I thought it was pretty interesting and I wanted to show you guys. I don't know when this update happened inside of a machine, but I often don't go to settings here. But I went to settings and noticed that this has been totally redesigned. So now we have more functionality in the hardware itself, like we do inside the software. I used to always go to the software to do things like switch output, audio, dealing with MIDI keyboards and making something active or inactive, that type thing. But you can do all that from here. So for instance, let's toggle over to MIDI, and if I touch here, I can see all of my MIDI devices that's connected to my computer, and I can enable or disable with this section right here that says status, and the same for output devices here. Enable or disable any MIDI device from here. So I did a video showing you guys how to enable or deactivate or whatever your M32 or your S controllers. You could do that from here if you have the machine, and it's really simple. You just go to settings and voila. So let's toggle over to hardware, and of course I've noticed this a long time ago when I first got the device. I thought it was cool how in the hardware it's labeled hardware, and I can change my line output, my phones, deactivate or enable the touch sensitive knobs, and activate different things on the back of this thing, which is pretty cool. But if we toggle over to audio, now this is the part that kind of blew me away, because I now have the option to change my interface. So if I wanted to come out of my 192, which is what's connected to my computer right now, I can have this thing to come through that, or my audio 6, or the built-in, pretty much do whatever you used to do when going through the preference section in the computer. But I could do that here, and then I could change the sample rate. I can also change the buffer size. Again, these are things that was always designated to the software and not the hardware. So now we can do that here. And I see that we have 6 pages. I'm looking right here. And before we go there, there's information here. Device status running. And it tells you the processing and output and the total latency, milliseconds here. That is pretty cool. So if we toggle over here, that we can see the input routing. You can totally have control over all of this stuff here inside of the hardware. Output routing 1 through 4. That's really cool. Really cool. So this is all of your routing in the audio setting. And then if we go back to the general, you can, of course, as usual, deactivate or turn on your metronome here. You can control the level of the metronome. Say the metronome is too loud, you can definitely turn it down there, and you can change the timing. And you can change the if you wanted to auto record or turn it off. And then you could change the count, how many bars you wanted to count before it starts to go. I like to set mine at 1 bar, so I'll leave that right where it is, and then quantize. So basically this will act like, I like to say it acts like the MPC, because the MPC by default was set up this way, where it automatically quantizes when you record. So you don't have to go back and quantize later. Or if you don't like that, you can just turn it completely off, no quantize, right? Toggle over to the next screen. Project reload. If you wanted to reload every time you turn on this device or log into machine, you could change your settings here. Scene selection, if you want scenes and patterns, or just scenes. Link when duplicate or duplicate. I'm not sure what that is, so I'm just leave that off. And the cool thing here is you have control over the colors, like in the preference section. If you wanted to auto select colors or whatever, then that's there. Same here, auto. And I like it auto because I like all of my groups to have different colors or whatever. But while we on the subject, I thought it was cool to show you something else I've noticed. Now, I think this was in the latest update, but when you go to like your scene or something like that, you now have the option to change the color from the controller itself. Now, that's crazy. Now, what we had to do before, let me show you. And this is what I always used to do. I could change the color of anything, blah, blah, blah. But I had to always like right click, go to color, and then I can choose a color from here. You know what I mean? Then right click. And you can also like select multiple of them and change the color. Say I want these to be, I don't know, like a pink, whatever. I can always do that inside of the software, which was extra steps. But now you can do that here. You can change the color of the scene. You can also go to pattern, and it's just a matter of like toggling over where it says red. I could change the color of the pattern itself. And then for the specific pads, you have this next knob here to change the color of the pad specifically. So you have the group color, and then if you just want to change that pad specifically, then you could change that pad like on fly right there. It's like right next to each other. And then I like to change my fixed velocity to 127. That's kind of like a habit type deal. If I activate the fixed velocity, everything is coming out full velocity. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so the thing that took it away from me was when I hit file, save, some of the features in here I knew exist. Like I can load up a new project. We was always able to do that, or hit the save, but it always prompt a screen on it prompt something on the screen, right? But you couldn't do anything from here. So Native Instruments has been doing more and more and more at trying to optimize this device to do everything from the device. I say the only thing that's missing is the ability to type, whatever. But you can use the keyboard, your computer keyboard, because obviously that's how it works. But if I go here and say save, okay, save, that will prompt a window. Okay, we used to that, right? Let's cancel that. But there's this button here that I noticed. It's a little bit different. It says export audio. Now, this screen here is crazy. Not only a screen prompts or a screen pops up, a little window, the export window in the software on your computer pops up, but you still have a bunch of controls from the hardware itself. So everything that you would do inside of that window, you now have access to that on the hardware itself. So I can say master, or I can choose to export a certain group or a certain sound. In my case, in a lot of cases, it's the entire master is gonna always be all. And this is how you export your entire song if you got your scenes laid out like that. You can also choose the sample rate here. And you could choose between wave and AIFF. AIFF is which is a term that's mainly used for Mac computers. One thing I would like to see them do is add MP3 in here. Now, if they give us options to export straight to MP3, that is pretty cool because that saves a step, right? But we can definitely control the bit depth here, 16, 24, and 32 float. And we can optimize our loop. Like if we wanted to loop between the loop parameters, we could turn it on or off. But most of the time, it may be trying to export the entire song, you would definitely have that off, obviously. And then you can choose to have the normalized feature on or off. And then you can go ahead and export the file, and it export. Like you don't have to go and engage anything from the software. And so that is what did it for me. And that's really cool. And obviously, you'll go inside your computer and you tell it where you want it to save to, just hit the file icon, and then You tell it where you want it to go, just so it won't randomly put it in somewhere where you can't find it, you know. And then you obviously have to name your project, right? But after you've done that, you can just come back over to the controller and hit export, and you're good to go. It exports your project or whatever the parameters you set it from the hardware, man, you know. I feel like Native Instruments is moving in the right direction as to what they're doing, making their hardware more useful. That's all I have for you guys. It would help me out if you guys are subscribed to the channel. Thumbs up on the video or thumbs down if you don't like it, as usual. Again, my name is Elip from Creative Sound, and music is art, you the artist. Paint your picture, stay creative without rules.